Thank you so much. We're really excited to have you here. I loved all the appreciated the comments in terms of like, oh, this is such a beautiful campus. I feel that way too. I felt that way from the moment that I drove onto campus to apply for my job. I'm here for the third year. I'm almost at my third year in June. And it's been probably the best professional experience that I've ever had. And a lot of it has to do with my team that's in the room because you guys are exceptional and amazing. And they really do all of the good work that are happening here on campus. And so I'm going to talk with you guys a little bit about being campus ready. When we did a survey, we asked a little bit about like, hey, what do you guys want to know from this particular conference? And lots of people were talking about being student ready. How do you prepare yourself to work with all of the different students that may attend your campus? So that's what we'll do. While I'm plugging in, how about we shout out definitions that you think fits being a student-ready campus? Welcoming. Accessible. Fact.
Friendly.
Absolutely. We have to know what we're talking about. What else?
Mindful.
What happens when we're not student ready?
We have to close up.
They go someplace else that is.
Correct. All right. Here we go. Right. Okay. Now I'm ready. I've been going over this particular concept for quite a while. In terms of being a student-ready college, it kind of has a definition up here that I would like us to work with as we're kind of facilitating and going through this session. It is mainly about, instead of focusing on where the student deficits are, it focuses on how we as a campus can be more ready for any student that is coming into our institution. Any person, any individual with any demographic, with any set of experience, like we need to be ready for them. And I don't know about you, that's probably one of the things that I learned about working. I transitioned from working in four-year private liberal institutions. This is my first community college experience. And the diversity of student that comes to this particular campus is by far more than I have ever seen in any of the places that I've worked. And I've been doing this work for 25 years. So there's something different about our space and how we have to be a lot more student ready, but we have to be ready for a lot more different types of students. So I just came back from the Achieving the Dream conference, and at that particular conference, they told a lot of stories. And so that's how I'm going to start my session. So you'll see, yeah, it's a way back picture right there. So a little bit about me. I always like to hear from presenters about like what experience do you have that you could be sitting up and giving me this presentation and how I'm supposed to be taking it in. So here, I'm currently serving as the Vice President of Student Development, but here are all my former roles. And I've worked at several different locations, but these are all the different content areas that I've worked, which helped me learn a lot about all the ins and outs about how to be student ready in a lot of different fashions. And so let me tell you some stories. The top left photo with the SLU hat on, that is a first generation college student sitting with her roommate. That was the year that it decided that I got a graduate assistantship to go to SLU for my first professional experience. But what that first generation college student didn't know is they didn't know anything about financial aid, not a single thing. So I went through my first 2 years of school, not applying for a single piece of financial aid. I got that one scholarship that they give you when you come in. They're like, hey, this is for you. I'm like, yay, thanks for that. Until I got a job at the admissions office and I was doing it as a telecounselor. And I had to know all about things because I was calling prospective students and I had to learn all about FAFSA. And I was like, what is that? Right. And so I didn't get eligibility for things until my junior year because I just didn't know what was going on. Right. I'm going to transition to that middle picture. That was when I was at St. Lucia University. My first opportunity to work with student staff members and see them evolve from their entry-level selves to who they would evolve to be. When the young lady on the left-hand side, we had an interesting meeting how we met, but I saw something in her. And so I took the opportunity to have her hired on some of my staff members. She became an RA, a senior leader, summer conferences. When I started here as the vice president, about 3 weeks in, I hopped onto a Zoom meeting with Keeney about Title IX. I'm going to cry when I talk about my students. So like, if you see me get all emotional, I just can't help myself. Do you know who was running that meeting? Molly Mohan, who is a named partner now for Keeney. I couldn't believe it. I was literally texting her like, wow, full circle. And it was so cool because I saw her evolve through her experience, through engaging in campus and doing campus work, being involved, having an on-campus job. I'm not saying that I was the reason why she became a lawyer by any means, but I got to see her evolve. And that's a really important part about being a student-ready campus, being willing to see those students evolve. The top corner right there, that's my staff in 2014, my new student orientation staff. There's some significant things happening in the summer of 2014. See, again, my shake, can't help it, I love my students. But it was during the Ferguson riots, what was happening with Michael Brown. We had several students that were angry and scared and frustrated, but showed up every day with a smile on their face to welcome new students and became some of the most resilient people I've ever met, and taught me a lot about diversity and equity and what it means to like listen to someone's story and understand what you could do better to engage and have a better experience for them. My bottom picture here is when I worked in the academic success center at Lindenwood. These folks taught me about diligent communication and how you send to those students. I was a successful coach for the School of Sciences. And I swear to you, I messaged those students who are in trouble every single week, got no responses. How many times has that happened to you, right? But it's that 13-week response that they're like, oh, I do have a question. I'm like, nailed it, right? Finally got them to engage with me. It was a persistent, ongoing, engaging communication piece. And they finally reached out because I was the person that was in their email box every single week. So they knew I was the person they could reach back out to. And the slower picture here is one of my favorite things that we do here on East Central's campus is that we invite our high school partners for a counselor luncheon, right? And so at that counselor luncheon, I get to watch my peers and colleagues talk about the great things that East Central is doing and how we can support their high school students as new members. But one of the other things I love about that event is that they tell us what they're seeing. Like, tell us who your students are. Like, what are you seeing? Where are some of the areas that they're struggling? Because, you know, I'm sure how many people can remember that like favorite high school teacher, right? Any, right? So when you went to college and you were struggling, you kind of went back to high school and you're like, oh, this is what's happening. They still do that. So if they know what's going on our campuses, they have really quality insight about what we might be able to shift and change and adjust to be more campus ready. So all of those pictures were intentionally picked because it taught me a lot about being a student-ready institution versus helping our students be college-ready, right? And so I'm going to do some citing of my sources. We will do a giveaway. One of you will walk away with one of these amazing books and resources about how to become a student-ready college. We'll do like a spin the wheel of names here in just a little bit, and one of you will come home with one of these, this book. But really, when you're looking for resources about how to be becoming a student-ready college, every resource goes back to this book, right? They keep going back. And so a lot of the pieces are from this. And a lot, honestly, as I was sitting at the Achieving the Dream conference, it's all about how to help students just assimilate and be welcome into your campus, what resources you could provide. So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about, I heard from the Achieving the Dream. Even if you're not an Achieving the Dream institution, we have the great opportunity because we received the Title III grant to kind of add that into our process. The conference is exceptional. So if it's something that you're looking forward to in terms of professional development opportunities, I would hands down recommend it. And it's in Philly next year. So, I mean, what's better than that? So, and then I'm also going to give a little shout out to Google Gemini, right? When I was trying to put together some of my thoughts, I was all over the place, right? And just like Dr. Bauer mentioned, I just needed a place to kind of hear all the things I kind of want to say and put out there. And it helped me reformulate. And I was looking for very student-ready institutions. And so instead of going to the student-ready institutions' websites and kind of looking at all the different programs, I literally just chatted, here's student-ready institutions. Tell me a little bit about their highlights and the key initiatives that they did. About 30 seconds, right? So we're going to kind of dive into a couple of those opportunities, but it was a really great resource that I used that helped me kind of put this together. And really, when you're talking about being a student-ready institution, there are goals and outcomes for each individual area. Let's talk about students, right? Obviously, it's going to help them, if you're more student-ready, perform better academically and retain to your institution. Obviously, that's probably one of the premier goals. But it also provides us an opportunity to have everyone here or everyone who is attending at our institution and every student to feel like they are welcomed, that they are seen in themselves, right? That they could see someone either on our marketing materials, in their classrooms, in their staffs, they're like, ooh, that's kind of me, to make that point of connection. And so the outcome of being a student-ready campus is having students being able to see themselves in all of our different avenues and venues. And obviously, when you're more student-ready, they're just happier. They love their programs, they love their experience, they appreciate the services that we provide. It's a win-win for them. But I don't want us to not talk about the positive goals and outcomes that happen to us as faculty and staff members when we're engaging in being a more student-ready campus. So when you become a student-ready campus, you have to think very innovatively. And how many people in here are super comfortable with change? Thanks, Sarah. Okay, right? Let's think about our staffs. How many of them are super comfortable with change? Okay, right? Innovation and change is super scary. But when you really focus on becoming student ready, you have the opportunity to get all of your collaborative experiences and all of your collaboration focused on such a cool process. That's an outcome for you. There's a lot of energy that comes when you're doing student ready work. The other thing is that it helps us understand where our deficits are. And that means it could be technology, it could be staffing, it could be financial resources. It helps us understand better where we need to focus our energy. How many times have you had that engaged dialogue, like, we're spending this amount of money here? Is that a solid use of our resources? Or can we pull that and give those resources and equip ourselves a little bit better to be a more student-ready institution? Like that's also a plus. So you're putting the right amount of money to the right places. You're putting your staff energy to the right places. There's a lot of process there. And so being a student-ready campus works for both the students and the faculty staff experience. And so I wanted to make sure that we mentioned that. So here's 3 different core areas when we're talking about our being a student-ready campus. There is a note page. Did everyone receive a note page? Yes, it kind of looks like this right here. All right. So you're going to have to answer these questions at one of our slides. And so as I'm talking, please fill in these 4 quadrants. You should have a pen, right next to your chocolates, unless your neighbor stole one. And so as we're discussing things, what I want you to look at is I want you to look at it in terms of a couple different boxes. Here's something that you heard about during the presentation or the best practice schools that I'm going to go over that you also do at your institution and you're super proud of yourselves, right? Because we are doing lots of student ready work already. And I think that that's something that we need to support. And then that other box that says, man, we don't do that well at all, or that's on our wish list, right? So something that you hear that you're like, we need to get better at this. And then the other 2 boxes are who should be engaged in the conversation. And then the 4th box we'll talk a little bit later. So I just want to kind of prep what those note pieces are. So when we're talking about in terms of academic preparedness, there's 3 kind of core concepts that when you're talking student ready that are going to be what we're discussing. First is academic preparedness. One of the big things that you see all over the literature is providing early college or dual enrollment or engagement with how to bridge the gap between their high school experience and their college experience, right? How many people have our early college academy on their campuses? Yes, yes. Early college academy for us is that we have students who are coming here and taking their junior, senior year. At the end of their junior, senior year, they also graduate with an associate's degree. One of the most common threads we hear from our academic partners and our instructors, sometimes they're like deer in headlight, right? This is so different from high school, right? They get here and they go, I did not expect this to be that way. So one of the things they talk about is that they work in those academic preparedness suggestions earlier, engaging in those high schools, going and doing presentations about this is what college life actually is like. Having speakers from their colleges go back to their high schools to say, here's my experience. Because sometimes it's better to hear from a student, like, this is what I just went through. I'm telling you what, guys, you cannot not do homework, right? You have to actually spend time outside of the classroom and do work. That's a shocker for a lot of high school students. And so the more we can get into those college environments, either by doing more dual enrollment, so people kind of get a taste of what a college class would be like, or physically going into those spaces and kind of giving them tutorials about how to transition into the college level. The next one is providing very targeted academic help when you see a student struggling. How many people in here have like retention software, or they have, or either homegrown or something that they use, right? And so you hear from a faculty member like, this student didn't show up for a couple of weeks. This student failed one of my assignments. It could be, I saw someone crying in the tutoring center because they just couldn't, facilitate what was going on with math. And then you kind of submit those alerts to people. Because every single one of those alerts matter. It kind of goes back to what I learned from my Lindenwood days, is that you got to keep communicating with them, because sometimes those first couple of communications, they're not ready to hear that they're in deficit. They're still in a little bit of denial, right? They're still saying, oh, God, I was just having a bad week, right? But then 3 weeks later, they're like, I should have answered that first email, right? And so those targeted and trackable and timely, Stephanie, where are you at? Did that for you. Communication pieces are super important, because you never know when they're going to want to intake that at any given time. We have an exceptional team, our support coaches, our success coaches, our learning center. They are very diligent about following up on each and every one of those alerts. But we do those alerts on different things too. We have a wellness navigator, which she serves as a social services connection. And so if someone's struggling with their basic life needs, we put in alerts to that particular person, and they reach out to them going, hey, here's some resources that you might utilize, those kinds of things. So it's not just about academic alerts, because I think a lot of times we need to understand if those students' basic support needs aren't being met, their academics are not going to be as successful as they want or need them to be. And the other thing is really digging deep into the curriculum, providing degree opportunities that work in your area. What are your community members needing? Do they need more welders? Do they need more, nurses? Do they need more, whatever that looks like for you in your community? Because if someone sees themselves like, ooh, that's what I want to be, and that's what they're looking for when they're going the community college route. They're looking for the one thing that they think they're going to connect with, right? And so being able to provide lots of different opportunities for them. That's why we have some partnerships that we do. There's a couple of institutions here that we have this Beyond Boundaries program, where you could start and do some of your programs at the more local institution, and then again, you can finish your degree program at the other, because we don't have vet tech, but other people's do. And so providing those creative solutions about how they're going to engage academically is also really important. All right, so then we're going to transition over to social and emotional well-being, right? This is the part, the warm, fuzzy, welcome feeling kind of opportunities. We want to very much, a lot of the research says, like, you have to foster a community where they feel like this is exactly what they want, where they want to be all the time, right? This is their home space away from home, because sometimes home spaces are a little challenging, right? So they come here to get the connection, the welcome, the identity recognition that they might not get in other places. And so fostering that sense of belonging is very, very important. And that does link into like kind of what I was talking about earlier, is seeing themselves. If they don't see themselves in everything from your marketing materials to your instructors that are teaching in the classroom, to the different events and engaging opportunities, if they don't find themselves in there, it's really hard to feel like that sense of belonging. And you'll get that kind of commuter shuffle, right? The only thing that they'll do is they'll get here, they'll go to their class, get back in their car, go home, right? We want them to feel like they just want to kind of hang out. They want to be in this space because they feel welcomed and accepted here. This next thing is that I'm sure you all have seen it. I'm sure your counselors, they're jam-packed in every single one of their times and spaces, right? Because we have a higher level of need for mental and emotional health than we've ever seen on college campuses, right? We just can't keep up. There's lots of different things that are out there. And so you kind of have to do some more creative things to kind of help get them served. We're very lucky we're participating in the virtual care group. You were at last year's presentation. They did a presentation about helping and serving emotional needs. And so this virtual care group, they do mental health, emotional health, physical health, and we do have the psychiatric package, as well as their life coaches, right? And so students of ours, they can just log in and get any one of these services at any time, because we're also seeing that students are needing those resources outside our regular hours of business, right? They want to talk to somebody at 11 p.m., right? So we have to provide different opportunities for them. Also, one of the other things that I'm happy that we're doing here is that we have tabling. We have Wellness Wednesdays, right? There are fellow students, our PTA group is amazing, and that was their service project this year because they knew that students are just unwell. So they're going to do Wellness Wednesdays, and we're going to have students tabling. So students are going to come up and be like, hey, this is how you could be well. Because sometimes, we could say it, but our students don't necessarily trust us, right? I have 2 students in college. I've been working in the field of student affairs for 20 plus years, and they still don't think I know what I'm talking about. It's fine, right? So, but if their body says it, it makes total sense. So if you engage your student population to tell your other students, it's important that you're taking care of your mental health and your emotional health and your physical health, those kinds of things. This is one of the things that I think that I would love to explore a little bit more is doing peer mentoring programs. You see this a lot at four-year institutions. And one of those reasons why is they have a little bit more available resources at four-year institutions than maybe some of our spaces. Because sometimes peer mentoring program, you have to kind of pay your mentors to do those kinds of things. But there were countless resources when I was going through and putting this together presentation, is that student to student connection and impact sometimes far outweighs some of the things that we can be doing as professional staff members. So if we're not engaging our students and having those student to student connections, we're kind of missing the mark. But also, I'm going to loop in there, is that if we're not talking to our students and asking them, having them be our mentors, having them share with us, hey, this is where I see that you're not meeting the mark here in my student experience. I think that's also a really solid opportunity. So I don't know how many people do like surveys or focus groups or those kinds of things. If you're not doing that in your spaces, it's something that you should probably place a priority, because we can come up with a ton of different things we think we need to do better, but maybe there's like 7 things on our list and our students are like, we don't really care about those 4. We need these 3. That's where I want to focus my energy on. So spending time engaging those people about those conversations are super important. Collaboration and innovation. This kind of speaks to, this is our 3rd section. This kind of speaks to what are we doing outside and connecting with the local community? What are we doing with our service providers? What are we doing with our businesses? What are we doing with those individuals? Asking them, what kind of students do you need? What kind of students do you expect to have if you find out that they graduated from my institution? Like, what kind of skill sets, what kind of experiences do they have? And so building partnerships with K through 12, right? Starting at the very early elementary. Like we do a pencil program here, right? We go to all the elementary schools and they get an East Central pencil. So as they're writing, it's got East Central on it. So like phasing up those engagement opportunities. What are you doing in elementary school? What are you doing in middle school, high school? Right now, we have 300 elementary school students on our campus to see Beauty and the Beast, right? So they get to come here and be here. There's also lots of opportunities. We have a summer learning academy. We get elementary school all the way through high school students here on our campus, and they learn welding or cooking or cardboard craft making, whatever that is. But they at least come to campus and get to see this space and be like, ooh, I might want to be at East Central someday. It kind of reduces that stigma about going somewhere that they're not familiar with, right? Another super important thing, and I don't know if you all do it really well, tell me, but providing professional development opportunities for your faculty and staff members about the ongoing changes about the student population, right? I don't know about you, and I've seen this at every institution I've ever been at. When you have to do budget cuts, you keep the money for the student stuff, right? Because you think, oh, those students need those experiences. And you have a tendency to cut your Pro Devo funds, conferences, those kinds of things. But what's happening is that we're not engaging with our peers. We're not understanding what best practices are. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. Like, thank goodness that we have a tremendous organization. MCCA provides us and gives those opportunities, but engaging in regional, national, and those kinds of things, we're missing out on. So we feel a little behind the curve when we do that. So if we're not providing professional development opportunities for our faculty and staff, we're going to continue to feel behind. And it's really hard to catch up, right? And then the other thing, and my team knows, I love me some data, right? As my team like, oh, Sarah, right? Anytime we want to change anything, I'm like, what's the data say? What are the numbers, right? Because I want to know, I want to feel positive that if I'm going to take resources from one place and move them to the other, then I'm making the right choice. So if you have not become best friends with your institutional effectiveness or your research office, go home and do that Monday. I would say today, but some of you are not going to get back then. On Monday, connect with those people, because a lot of times they're like, let's just tell you all the things we know. And it's really important. Also, leveraging the technology pieces that you have. What is out there? Work smarter, not harder. That's why we're having an efficiency-based roundtable here, because everyone's like, how do I do my job better and faster so I can do some of the other initiatives? Because I don't know about you all, but do you feel like I have all these things on my plate? Like, how are we going to, right? So if I had less of that, because I just have more time, because I'm doing things more efficiently, because technology is helping me perform some of those things, it's a little easier. So what I'm going to do now, those are our three kind of content areas. I know that was kind of fast. I feel like I'm talking really fast. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show some slides of the best practice institutions. Now, some of them, you're going to look at it and you're like, Sarah, there's a 40,000 person student community college. How am I going to like relate to that? Yeah, I promise. Some of you might, right? But we'll kind of progressively go. But I'm going to give you 30 seconds to look at the slide. And I want you to look at things that you're like, ooh, we do that. We love it. Ooh, I want to do that. And do not limit yourself by time, talent, or treasure, right? Let's do a little dreaming here, right? So, because that's really what has a tendency to inhibit most of innovative practices, right? So here we go. Just take a look, like I said, highlights, key initiatives. And I guess if you want to put palm trees on your campus, that could also be good too. Ready? Good. All right. Hold please. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. I don't remember what time we were at that one, so I'll just give you a little extra. Where do you hospitality? We already have it. Last one. No. All right, ready? Let's get those notes pages out. Here's some questions for you, right? From what you saw, or from anything that we've heard today through the first part of the presentation, what are some of the things that you saw in best practice schools that you are also really doing well? Who wants to brag on themselves for a hot second? Go ahead.
Our ECA program is in it. I think we do a great job in
Awesome. East Central.
East Central.
Thanks, Kathy. You up front and then you back.
3 years ago, we went to a guided pathways model for advising. I think it's been the best choice. I mean, I'm new to it too, but it seems to be working very, very well.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you. And what school?
Jefferson College.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I'm from OTC. We do a really neat student success model. So we have every student gets an admissions counselor who can help them through the onboarding process, and we're kind of their person for everything. Financial aid, enrolling, deciding a career pathways, doing career exploration, kind of everything. And then after they register, they get a navigator who is there to support them through their entire time with everything, so they have a dedicated person. And if they need support, we also have community resource specialists who connect them with things within the community, get them connected to foundation, if they need funding, anything like that.
Awesome. Excellent. Perfect. Thank you. Few more. I know y'all got stuff. Go ahead.
Jefferson College, I will brag on the two ladies in front of us. We have an amazing team that does wonderful things for students' mental health. So they're absolutely fantastic.
They are called the what?
Care team.
Care team.
I'll
Thank you.
share one.
Yeah.
So St. Louis Community College, I think we have a really good support structure in place through we have student access, student resource and advocacy centers. I think I'm saying that right, Dr. Robender. Where we have a food pantry, we have a career closet, we do whatever they show up with, whatever their concerns are, we're able to help navigate the systems internally and externally to help them. So I think that's we do meal cards. I mean, the list goes on and on about all this wraparound supports that we provide to our students.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. How about stuff they're like, ooh, I want one of those so bad, or I want to bring that to my campus so bad.
I really like the Lone Star program that they have. I'm kind of want to know the logistics of how that can make that happen.
Let's see. They're like their Lone Star first.
Where they give free tuition for like, I don't know.
Mhm.
Three Rivers, we're having a grant, don't quote me on what it is, but it's rural development, whatever, it's called Project Drive. It's not, we can't get free tuition to everyone, but we have like summer boot camps for graduating seniors for their like 8-week, whatever. We have welding, construction, CDL and CNA this year, and it's completely free. For through this grant.
And they get the full free.
Like in 8 weeks, it's fast track like 7 to 4. They go every day, 4 days a week, and they leave with a year of certification. So it's probably.
Yeah.
So they can afford that. And then it also calls out that, so I'm really loving it. I don't actually have funds. If you don't actually have to provide it.
And that's really the beauty of engaging in conversations like this. Like, I wonder how they do it, right? Don't hesitate when you see something like that, or if you hear something like that from a peer or colleague, like, how do you do that? I think this is the field that I love the most, that like you beg, borrow, and steal, and that's totally fine, right? Like, we want to help one another engage into that next level kinds of things. So keep asking, how do you do that? How does that work there? So good. What else?
I like the Valencia Compass idea of student success coaching. I think it's something we need to really look at.
Yeah, good. I come from a first year experience background. I'll share mine. And I was like, that's basically what it is when students enter any institution, right? 2-year, 4-year, wherever that, like, I need to bring back and do some more digging in terms of my roots of first year experience kind of based programming. So watch out, team. Here we come. Anybody else want to share anything else? Yeah.
I wrote down to learn more about the living learning communities.
I did that for like 15 years. So I will talk about that ad nauseum. So, okay. Can't believe I didn't put that on my list. Talk to you about it.
I want to be better at transitioning our students from high school to college, because we don't do that. Well, we do it, but they're always falling through the cracks. I want to find a way to get it better.
Awesome.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So this is a big struggle that we're having I'm sure we're all having that, right? So one of the things I'm running up against at my institution is the balance between getting them a schedule and telling them what they need to do to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because enrollment, which is really important. But if we give them a schedule and they're off on their own, are they successful? What do we, how do we, so when you figure it out, let me know. Yeah.
Oh, whoa, I cannot hear your funny story. Someone else for right now. Oh, thank God they don't. Sometimes she sends really funny gifts and I'm like, oh no. Oh, okay.
Getting them from like dual credit, dual enroll, like they're our college now, to our full-time on-campus students, and that it's not high school anymore. You're not in a classroom with your high school teacher and helping you with your college work now. You're an adult, and as much as we handhold them in community college, we're not anymore, and they're just not. I don't know if all of you are having that. We kind of joke, not joke, that these are our COVID kids.
Oh,
And how do we?
And that's a real thing. I mean, that is a
So
real
much
thing. It's,
instruction.
we're gonna be struggling with this, I think, for a while.
I think every nationwide is
Yeah.
how do we?
yep.
Orientation,
Yeah, that's what I.
mandatory, but nobody wants to do that.
Mandatory orientation.
It already is, but
Yes.
it's online.
Having a space where they feel belong.
Mhm.
That is their place, and especially when you high school, college, not knowing, not fitting in, but the challenge is if you're into your institution, where they're in and out.
Yes.
Having somebody stable in there to help them
Mhm.
integrate, but also be a part of the campus, and engage. That's tough, but I think that's a place for those students coming in. This is what we can be a part of. Again, leads to completion and moving on.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'll leave you with this final quote. The concept of being a student-ready campus is that actually believing that every student that walks onto your campus can be excellent and can be successful. That's what being a student-ready campus is, right? Not putting those caveats on them like, oh, well, they're not successful because, nope, right? Being a student-ready campus is like, I can make that student excellent because of the services, things that I provide. So on that note, thank you. Let's keep the conversation going. Please contact me anytime because you can tell I could talk about this for a long time. So thank you for your time and your energy. So. All right, I'm gonna unplug this. Message Megan Mack, okay. One of the things that you all stated in some of your feedback was that like, I just want to talk to people, right? I just want to talk to people about